Once upon a time, in a cozy little village nestled between rolling green hills and a sparkling river, lived a young boy named Leo. Leo was known for two things: his bright, curious eyes and his incredible talent for carving little wooden animals. His tiny workshop, a corner in his family's barn, was filled with miniature squirrels, rabbits, and birds, each one carved with love and care. One sunny afternoon, the village announced its annual grand fair. The highlight of the fair was always the wood carving competition. The grand prize was a beautiful set of professional carving tools, something Leo had dreamed of for as long as he could remember. His current tools were old and worn, hand-me-downs from his grandfather. "I'm going to enter the competition this year," Leo declared to his best friend, a fluffy sheepdog named Rusty. Rusty wagged his tail in enthusiastic agreement. Leo decided to carve his most ambitious project yet, a majestic lion, the king of the jungle. He spent days sketching the design, imagining its flowing mane and powerful stance. He found the perfect piece of wood, a smooth, sturdy block of oak that his grandfather had saved for a special occasion. For weeks, Leo worked tirelessly. He woke up before the sun, the sounds of his carving filling the quiet morning air. He worked after his chores, his hands covered in sawdust, until his mother called him for dinner. The lion began to take shape, its form emerging from the wood bit by bit. It was looking magnificent, even better than he had imagined. Rusty would often lie at his feet, watching with his head on his paws, as if supervising the whole operation. The day before the fair, Leo was adding the final touches. He was carving the delicate details of the lion's face, its whiskers, its noble eyes. He was so focused, so lost in his work, that he didn't notice his younger sister, Maya, tiptoeing into the barn. Maya was only 5 and she adored her big brother and his wooden creations. "Leo, what's that?" she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder as she stared at the lion. Startled by her voice, Leo's hand slipped. The sharp tip of his knife went too deep, and with a sickening crack, one of the lion's front legs broke off and clattered to the floor. Leo's heart sank. He stared in disbelief at the broken statue, then at the little wooden leg on the ground. All his hard work, all his dreams of the new tools, shattered in an instant. Tears welled up in his eyes. Maya saw the look on his face and her own eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Leo. I didn't mean to scare you," she cried. Leo felt a surge of anger. It was her fault. If she hadn't snuck up on him, this wouldn't have happened. He wanted to shout, to tell her she had ruined everything. But then he looked at his little sister, who was trembling and looking so scared and sorry. He took a deep breath. It wasn't really her fault. It was an accident. "It's okay, Maya," he said, his voice shaky. "It wasn't your fault." He picked up the broken piece. Maybe, just maybe, he could fix it. He tried to glue the leg back on, but the break was clean and awkward. The glue wouldn't hold properly. No matter how he tried, there was a visible crack, a scar that ruined the lion's majestic look. His masterpiece was flawed. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, the broken lion heavy on his mind. He knew he couldn't win the competition now. His lion was imperfect. A thought, like a slippery little snake, slithered into his mind. What if he just hit the crack? He could use a bit of wood filler and some dark stain. The judges would be looking at the carvings from a slight distance. They might not even notice. He could still win. The new tools shimmered in his imagination. But as soon as the thought appeared, a heavy feeling settled in his stomach. It felt wrong. His grandfather had always told him, "Leo, The hands that create must also be honest. Your work is a reflection of you. Winning by hiding a flaw wouldn't be a real victory. It would be a lie. But the thought of giving up was just as painful. The next morning, Leo felt exhausted. He looked at the lion, the ugly crack staring back at him. He had a choice to make. He could try to hide it and possibly win dishonestly, or he could withdraw from the competition. But then, a third option came to him. It was the scariest option of all, but it also felt right. It was the brave thing to do. He packed up his lion carefully and walked to the village square, his heart pounding in his chest. The fair was buzzing with excitement. Carvings of all shapes and sizes were displayed on long tables. He saw the work of Mr. Gable, the village's most respected carver, who always won. His entry was a stunning eagle with its wings spread wide. Leo found his assigned spot and placed his lion on the table. He didn't try to hide the crack. In fact, he turned the lion so the mended leg was clearly visible. People walked by, admiring the carvings. A few noticed the flaw in Leo's lion and moved on without a second glance. Each time, Leo's cheeks burned with embarrassment. He wanted to pack up and run home. Finally, the judges arrived. They were 3 esteemed elders from the village, including Mr. Gable himself. They moved slowly down the line, examining each piece with great care. When they reached Leo's lion, they stopped. One of the judges pointed at the broken leg. "What happened here, son?" he asked. Leo's voice was barely a whisper. He had to clear his throat to speak. "It broke, sir. Yesterday. It was an accident, and I tried to fix it, but the glue didn't hold perfectly, mister." Gable leaned in, looking closely not at the crack, but at the rest of the lion. He studied its powerful form, the intricate details of its mane, and the determined look in its eyes. He gently ran a finger over the smooth wood. "Why did you still bring it?" Another judge asked, looking puzzled. "You knew you couldn't win with a broken piece." This was the moment. Leo took a deep breath, looked the judge in the eye, and spoke with a newfound strength. "Because I worked hard on it for weeks. It's not perfect anymore, but it's still my work. And my grandfather taught me that honesty is more important than winning. I didn't want to hide the flaw, but I also didn't want to hide my work just because it wasn't perfect. I wanted to be brave enough to show it, broken leg and all." The crowd around the table had grown quiet, listening to the small boy's words. Dotmer. Gable stood up straight and a slow smile spread across his face. He looked at the other judges, who nodded in agreement. Then, "Mister." Gable turned to the crowd. "For many years, we have judged this competition based on skill and perfection," he announced, his voice booming across the square. "But today, we have been reminded of 2 even greater qualities, honesty and courage." He turned back to Leo. "Young man, it takes skill to carve wood, but it takes courage to admit a flaw. It takes talent to create beauty, but it takes character to be honest when it's hard. Your lion is a beautiful piece of work, but the story behind it is even more beautiful." The judges announced their decision. The first prize for technical skill went to another carver. But then, Mr. Gable held up a special prize that no one had ever seen before. It was a smaller, but equally beautiful set of carving tools. "We have decided to create a new award this year, Mr. Gable said, his eyes twinkling. "The Spirit of the Fair Award. And it goes to Leo for showing us all the true meaning of integrity and bravery." The crowd erupted in applause. Leo couldn't believe his ears. He walked forward as Mr. Gable handed him the new tools. They felt solid and real in his hands. He looked out at the smiling faces in the crowd and saw his mom, dad, and little Maya beaming with pride. From that day on, Leo continued to carve his little wooden animals. His new tools worked like a dream, but the most valuable tool he possessed was the lesson he had learned. He understood that being brave wasn't about never making mistakes. It was about owning them. And being honest wasn't just about telling the truth. It was about being true to yourself, even when it's the hardest thing to do. His broken lion, which he kept on his shelf forever, was a constant reminder that true victory isn't always about being perfect, but about being brave enough to be perfectly honest.